You deserved everything you got. This is a union city.
That is a Philadelphia tradition.
Seize the means of podcasting.
Oh God, the boss has crushed us.
Let me tell you one thing else.
In oldie-timey times,
The pleasure of the flesh is in solidarity.
we will not raw dog reality for that one.
It's going to be wholly unprofessional.
The Scab Buster.
What have we become?
Keep together strong. Let that be your mantra.
Solidarity. Solidarity forever.
This all started because I was researching Max Staller, not in relation to the Cloakmakers strike, but in relation to his later work as an anarchist doctor.
What? Okay.
Yeah, he had a very interesting life. And
Well, they say you get more conservative as you get older.
yes, that's true. Well, one of the things about him one of the things I was reading about him was other anarchist doctors didn't like him because he started saying that circumcision was okay.
Oh.
And then all the other anarchist doctors got really upset with him about that.
Oh. What? Okay. Well,
I saw no critiques of his politics, but that specific issue, they weren't willing to deal with him.
He's like, all right, let's cut it out, guys. Let's cut it out.
Yeah. Cut it off.
I know what I said, Gabe.
Okay. So first, let's talk about who Max Staller was before he became an anarchist doctor that liked circumcision.
He doesn't exist anymore?
Well, he was born in 1868.
This is fucking depressing.
He's a little bit dead now.
A little bit dead. Not all the way dead.
No.
Not completely dead.
No.
But not at all well.
No.
If he's not completely dead, what is he doing in a coffin? Sorry.
Anyway, so he was born in 1868 in Galicia, which is now part of Austria.
Okay.
And moved to the U.S. somewhere in the 1880s. I couldn't find exactly when.
Okay. I mean, for like people born in Austria in the later half of the 19th century, it's going pretty well so far.
Yeah, like
there's another trajectory that you can go towards.
Yeah. So he was. It looks like he got into kind of the anarchist movement back in Austria and continued that when he came to the U.S. And he was especially known for being a very good orator.
Yeah. I get that a lot too, Gabe.
Local 69. And this probably had something to do with the fact that he was also involved in a lot of theater. He and his wife were apparently like noted members of the Star Specialty Club, which was an amateur theater troupe in Philly in the 1890s.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of cool. So then, so in the early 1890s or in the 1880s, at some point, Staller started working as a cigar maker, which was probably both to like have some actual money, and then also to stir up workers and foment revolution, because he came from a more educated background. But he wanted to go and get involved with the laboring movement. So he was a member of the Cigar Makers Union, and it should also be noted that Samuel Gompers, who was the president of the American Federation of Labor at the time, started out as a cigar maker. So there was already like a strong union tradition. So the Cloakmakers of Philadelphia, there were about 1,500 of them.
Damn.
A lot of them, or the majority of them, were young women and Jewish immigrants from Russia. There had been a huge influx of Jews coming into Philly, or Russian Jews coming into Philly in the early to mid 1880s, because there was a whole bunch of pogroms over in the Pale of Settlement because we got blamed for Tsar Alexander's assassination. So they started killing us there, and we're like, oh, we're going to go to Philly. Not one of our better decisions here. Then, so the Cloakmakers weren't organized into a union. but they did have strong linguistic and cultural and political connections to the Cloakmakers up in New York City, who were unionized.
Ah, okay.
So like they knew that was happening. There's also some kind of bad blood between the New York Cloakmakers Union and what ended up happening in Philly.
Yeah, nothing changes.
Yeah, because the New York ones were all organized by social democrats. Today we would call them democratic socialists, because that's kind of where their politics lie. But that's like kind of the Eugene Debs crowd, though he was later. But that was kind of the Eugene or the Debs Socialist Party. A lot of that, or a lot of the similar ideas, were circulating around the New York Cloakmakers and the New York unions. The Philadelphia unions were all anarchists. Or the Philadelphia Jewish unions were all anarchists at the time. And they hated each other.
So it's a left-wing group.
Yes. I'm sure they all called each other splitters constantly.
Splitters.
So...
Wow, 2 Monty Python references in the first 10 minutes of this episode. That's pretty good. So
the Cloakmakers in Philly weren't... I just said that? Okay.
Say it again, Gabe. Say it again.
No.
I love your voice, man.
Well, I have a lot more to say.
Oh, just skip past this then.
Yeah. So on May Day, 1890, the Cloakmakers Union in New York marched in a May Day parade.
Okay.
And we should make a little pit stop to explain May Day in 1890, because it was a sort of brand new holiday at that point. In 1886, there was a general strike in Chicago for an 8-hour day. During one of the demonstrations, actually on May 4th, a bomb went off, killing and injuring a number of policemen. This led to the leaders of the strike, who were mostly anarchists, getting arrested, and 4 of them were executed by hanging.
Oh.
So that's that was the Haymarket affair.
Oh yes, when John Haymarket had that affair in Chicago with that woman.
Yes, everyone was very angry about that, and they blamed anarchists. Then
it's actually, they blamed an anarchist.
Who
was a typist for the local Chicago paper.
Yes.
That's who John Haymarket had the affair with, actually.
Yep, that makes sense.
I think I saved my joke there.
Yep. Good job. Okay. So then May Day, or International Workers' Day, or Labor Day was established in 1899 in recognition of the martyrs of Mr. Haymarket's affair, by an international group of labor union activists and socialists.
So disrespectful.
So basically, the purpose of it was to just have a specific holiday to show labor power.
Yeah.
And to use it as a day of agitation and organizing. The bosses did not like this. They did not like it. Same I am, or same you are. And
I like that, Gabe. I like that.
And so they, when the Cloakmakers went on strike, or marched in the May Day parade, specifically at the front of the May Day parade, which was also a big thing. They made sure that they were very seen. And when their bosses saw that, they kind of figured that they needed to get ahead of whatever labor agitation was going to come up. So they locked out all of the union members and said that if you marched in the parade, you can't come into work.
Hey, 3-day weekend.
Yeah. The union responded to the lockout by calling a strike, which grew really quickly. So it was supported by the AFL in New York, or the American Federation of Labor in New York, the United Hebrew Trades Council, and then a bunch of other independent unions in New York City. There were actually even some like small businesses that supported the strike, since it was really well known that the workers were dealing with horrible conditions and really low pay. So they had a lot of support up in New York, and by the end of the week, there were thousands of cloakmakers out on strike and picketing out in front of all of the largest firms in the city.
Nice.
Then back in Philadelphia, 35 cloakmakers who were organized with Cloakmakers Union Local Number 1.
Sorry, it's 35?
Yes.
Okay.
Of the 1,500 that were in the city. So not a majority, but a start. So they were organized with Cloakmakers Union Local Number 1, which was part of the Jewish Federation of Labor.
Gee, oh my God.
Uh-huh.
Those are the ones with the space lasers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Jewish Federation of Labor was founded in the late 1880s. I think it was 1889, but I found some conflicting info. And it was an anarchist organization, so they didn't keep great records. So they were a very like radical group. So that's kind of what I was getting into, saying that the cloakmakers and a lot of the Jewish unions in Philly were all organized under anarchists. And that's a lot of that came from the Jewish Federation of Labor. So they marched out on May 10th, 1890. So a little more than a week after the New York lockout. And these were all from the Bloom Brothers cloak manufactory.
Okay.
And that is also a good point to make, that the Bloom Brothers were a Jewish firm. So these were Jewish workers striking against the Jewish business owners, which caused some problems in the Jewish community of who do we actually support? So their primary demand was getting union recognition, and they immediately declared to the press that they weren't going to make any concessions to the boss until that demand was met. So within the first 4 days, by May 14th, they had gone from 35 to 250 striking cloakmakers.
Okay.
It's also unclear exactly how the Philly strike started or grew. It might have started out as a lockout like the New York one, because Stoller mentioned a lockout at some point, but it's unclear if he was referring to the New York one or the Philly one. There wasn't a lot of great explanation about how everything started, but by May 14th, there started to be some clear reporting.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the evening of Wednesday, May 14th, Max Stoller, who was the secretary of the Jewish Federation of Labor at the time, gave a speech to the striking workers at their headquarters at 238 Pine Street. Okay, so this is his speech. For myself, I am personally opposed to strikes. When I say I am opposed to strikes, I mean that I never create the sentiment, or that I never crave the sentiment of a strike. But when the men are compelled to strike because the wares are so low that they cannot, or that the wages are so low that they cannot live on them, then I am with them. The effect of the strike of Bloom Brothers employees is being felt in other directions. L.H. Golsenbreyer, that's a hard name, discharged his men because they belonged to the union. Today, 11 men of Hanslin & Co. went out. The company gave them work and would not tell them what they were to receive. So that was another one of the issues that they kept running into, is that people were getting hired and weren't being told what wages they would get.
Okay.
So basically, at the end of the day, you were getting paid by piecework. So you'd like bring a stack of cloaks up to your boss or your foreman at the end of the day and get paid for those. And they weren't being told how much they were going to get paid per cloak.
Oh, nice.
So you might work the entire day and get like maybe 10 or 15 cents. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So when asked what the intentions of
the pay is competitive.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Yep.
When asked what the intentions of the union are, he said, "We will wait until Saturday. If no agreement is reached by that, then we will be compelled to order a general strike."
Oh shit! It's all going down this Sabbath.
Oh yeah. Bloom Brothers, Simon R. Geisenbehr, and others have organized for the purposes of making a lockout, and by reducing the men to the point of starvation, to compel them back to work at the employer's prices. So we will have to make a similar step. So he then went on to tell the reporter that was there that their specific demands are, first, that none but union tailors shall be in their employ. Second, the price of all work shall be fixed between a shop committee selected by the union and management.
Okay.
And the said price shall be noted, shall be agreed upon between the firm and the committee, and shall be written or printed in the factory. And third, that no tailor shall be compelled to do night work. So they won't be forced to either bring home work with them and work into the later hours, or have to work past closing. So then, in response to that meeting, all of the cloakmaking employers locked out any worker who was in any way affiliated with the union. And in response to this, the employees elected a bargaining committee and settled in for a long strike.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So everything kind of just fell into place there. So I also want to point out that while all of this was going on, the Carpenters Union was also on strike, which was wholly unrelated to the Cloakmakers. I'm only mentioning this to show that they're between this and May Day and everyone still remembering the Haymarket fairly recently. Everyone was kind of on edge that there were a lot of strikes going on. The bosses were getting nervous because labor was agitating a lot.
Yeah.
There had been a lot of people probably still remembered the 1877 railroad strike, which to the bosses looked like a workers' revolution, and kind of came close to that. So everyone was like really on edge right now.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
The Cloakmakers were getting support from their comrades up in New York City, but they were still in need of money to keep themselves sustained during the strike.
Yeah.
So to do this, rather than like setting up a strike fund and getting, well, they did have a strike fund, but rather than seeking public support, they started to take work outside of the cloakmaking industry. So, and this was especially important because the strike wasn't just, or was in both the skilled and unskilled trades within cloakmaking. So the people who did like all of the seam assembly, basically all of the sewing and stitching, that was actually considered to be the like lesser or the less skilled trade. The really skilled trade were the cutters, which were the people actually cutting out all of the garment pieces. And it was both cutters and seamstresses that were out on strike. And cutters taking jobs in other fields is really important because they take a long time to train. So the goal here wasn't just like, we need money so that we can feed ourselves, but it was also to make sure that the bosses had or were forced to spend money to train out new people if they wanted to bring in scabs. So we're going to jump ahead to June 10th. So it's been a little over a month now. The union announced that 500, although some accounts listed as 800, of the 1,500 cloakmakers in Philly had kept up the strike. So between a third and a half, which is
better than 35.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like the strike grew pretty quickly. And this again highlighted some of the class divides within the Jewish community, where basically all of the like charitable organizations in Philly were all run by, or all of the Jewish charity organizations were all run by the wealthy business people who didn't like all of these grubby workers going on strike. So they weren't willing to give them any charity, which is also why they had to go find work elsewhere. Up in New York, things were fairly different, and the strike was actually gaining a lot of ground. So on July 14th in New York City, a deal was submitted to the Cloakmakers for ratification. It basically just guaranteed that all of the union workers would get rehired, but didn't achieve the ultimate demand of recognition. So it kind of came out to a stalemate, but that's better than everyone being kicked out. So that also probably meant that the workers in Philly, or that also meant that the workers in Philly now had a decision to make of whether or not they were going to continue the strike or continue to hold out for their demand of recognition, or see if the bosses would settle for just rehiring.
Yeah.
So on July 22nd, after the 14th, they had set up another bargaining committee to go to the bosses and try and like figure something out here. On July 22nd, it was announced that the committee meeting didn't go anywhere, and basically the bosses weren't willing to budge on, or weren't even willing to discuss the closed shop, and the union wasn't willing to back down. So then that evening, they held another meeting, which was attended by a rabbi who was a representative of the Hebrew Charitable Association. Oh, the union held a meeting, I should say. So he tried to convince the strikers to accept arbitration, and it was going to be probably a couple rabbis from the Hebrew Charitable Association being arbiters. So the union and the strike leaders rejected the proposal and declared that they would continue the strike. The meeting ended with speakers calling out both the press, which was spreading lies about the strikers, and the clergy, who weren't supporting the strikers enough. So they were making lots of friends. So then we're going to jump to August 3rd. So things got a little bit crazier. The strike continued, and they started to agitate a little bit more. So they were holding a lot more speeches and rallies. It looks like after the New York strike finished, the strike in Philly, or the strikers in Philly, started to get a little bit more militant and vocal. There was a meeting called by the Knights of Liberty on August 3rd at the Wheatley Dramatic Hall at 5th and Gaskill Streets. It started around 2 p.m., but was immediately filled, not just by striking cloakmakers, but other workers who were sympathetic to the strike, families, and children. So everyone wanted to come listen to the anarchist speakers. The crowd was mostly all working class immigrants, and so they all gathered into the meeting room, and it was fairly tense because right after they came in, a bunch of cops came in and started standing around the outside of the hall, just kind of there to keep an eye on things, and basically threatening to arrest anyone who they didn't like. So
is that everybody?
Yeah. The first speaker was the chairman of the Knights of Liberty, John Klinoski, who was the first speaker. And he explained that Max Stoller had just returned from New York with $800.
Oh, damn. That must have weighed him down that whole way.
Yeah. Today, that's $26,100 or about $26,200.
Okay.
So, like, that's a chunk of change. So he brought that bike back for their strike fund. His rhetoric got a lot more fiery after that, and he started calling on the strikers to prevent scabs from working by any means necessary.
Oh,
even
shit.
Attacking the homes and property of scab workers.
Oh, shit.
So this is what I'm saying, or this is what I mean when I say that they started to agitate a lot more.
But he came back in like a pimp cloak.
Yeah. So then Stoller spoke next, talking about the victory in New York City and calling for the Philadelphia strikers to continue their fight. While all of this was happening, the police had called in reinforcements, and so they had more cops starting to show up outside of the hall. In response to this, another anarchist, H.F. Gordon, came up on stage and called out, "The police are our enemies. Stand together, and I tell you the truth when I say that we will wash our hands in the blood of the tyrants."
Oh, holy shit.
So
now this is agitating.
Yes. This is not calming the situation. Suddenly, the police rushed the platform.
Why?
I have no idea. And arrested Gordon. This caused a panic in the crowd, who rushed out into the streets, knocking over chairs and knocking people over and trampling them.
Knocking over chairs? Okay. Yeah.
When the cops emerged with H.F. Gordon in handcuffs, they were greeted by a crowd of about 2,000 people who encircled them and started yelling insults at them.
Oh, no.
Some of the striking workers rushed the cops to try and free Gordon, but the cops closed ranks and beat them back with clubs. And then the cops responded by rushing the crowd of mostly like starving immigrant workers, women, and children with clubs and bats and dispersed them. And
well, they picked up the chairs they knocked over.
Yeah, really. There was probably one really frustrated janitor at the theater hall who was like, well, now I have a bunch of chairs to pick up and a bunch of blood to clean up.
You know how long it takes to straighten these fucking chairs? I'm so pissed off right now. Gordon frothed all over the goddamn thing.
So while all of this was happening, Max Stoller, who was still supposed to be leading this strike, theoretically, had escaped by climbing through a window onto a fire escape and ran down the alley. The police were searching for him for the next couple days until they went to the Gomper Brothers cigar factory, which was his normal place of employment. So he wasn't doing a great job of hiding.
Oh, God. The cops are looking for me. What to do? I'll go to work.
Yep. So the warrant for his arrest was supported by two other Cloakmakers union members, which this is purely speculation. It might have been part of the kind of fights between Social Democrats and anarchists that they might have been trying to get Stoller arrested so that the union could then elect a Social Democrat to replace him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's true, but I would not be surprised. So that's my speculation for the evening.
Well, you know what the great thing about being a journalist, Gabe? And if I may call you a journalist,
sure.
You can make that true, buddy. Just say it, and it becomes true.
Yeah,
all right, it's true.
So they argued that Stoller had incited the members of the union to riot and commit murder and arson, and had also told them to get knives and pistols and kill the bosses and those who remained at work. So I have found no evidence of Stoller saying that.
Gabe, would you stop this?
Well, I haven't found evidence of Stoller saying that, but that's what they claimed he said.
Okay. Who claimed it?
The two other members of the union
who were trying to get him ousted.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I believe them entirely then.
Yeah. They were either, best I can figure, they were either paid off by the bosses or supported a social democrat to replace him. So they claimed that Stoller specifically said that capital must be equalized with laboring hands, and if we cannot gain our ends by peaceable means, let us go out and shoot and kill. We must go out in a body and riot, stab, and burn.
Oh my God.
So then, in addition to the two union members that testified against him, policemen and cloakmaking bosses also testified against him, who I'm sure were completely neutral parties in this. So Stoller tried to defend himself by explaining that he only ever assisted the striking cloakmakers for the interest of organized labor as a whole and not for revolutionary means, and that he wasn't even a member of the Cloakmakers Union, which is technically true, but he was the secretary of the organization that the Cloakmakers Union was organized under.
Oh my God.
So there was a lot of truth bending in this trial.
I didn't want to have to take my job home with me at night. That's all this was about.
Exactly.
I don't want to kill anybody. I think Gordon comes in and I want to kill everybody. He's a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah.
We have to get him on the show.
I will have seance. So, unsurprisingly, Stoller was held on a $2,000 bail, which was
$40 million.
It was only $65,500 today.
Damn, that's still a lot, Gabe.
Yeah, no, that's a chunk.
I didn't exaggerate enough. I don't think. Yeah, honestly.
Considering that, like, weeks of organizing up in New York City for the strike fund brought back $800.
Yeah, right.
Getting held for $2,000 for bail was not great. Somehow, Stoller's friends got money together and got him out on bail.
Wow, really?
I think there was probably someone in like the Jewish intelligentsia that he was friends with.
The Jewish intelligentsia.
Yeah, that's going to spur a whole bunch of tinfoil hat. I should just stop talking about Jews.
Too late for that, man.
Yeah. But unfortunately, his arrest and subsequent suppression by the police, because he was out on bail, so he couldn't go out giving speeches or help organize or anything like that.
How convenient.
Yeah. Weakened the strike. But the final blow, when the bosses started to bring in black workers as scabs.
Oh, no.
And this is when the issues between class and race come back
again.
Super fun.
Definitely not part of their plan.
No. So the Cloakmakers Union was understandably unhappy about this.
Fuck.
But both their rhetoric and the boss's rhetoric was pretty terrible. So on Monday, August 25th, the Reverend R.W. Christian of the Shiloh Baptist Church was brought in to oversee a workhouse of 180 black women to be employed as cloakmakers. All of the discussion about it was kind of written as a benevolent act to black workers.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, both the, like, some of the more radical black voices were also talking about it in that way, which, like, yes, this opened up what was a skilled trade to black workers.
Yeah.
But it was also done very clearly to break a union.
Yeah.
Max Stoller responded to the announcement of the black workers being brought in, that if they want to employ colored work, or he's responded by saying, if they want to employ colored workmen, it is no affair of ours. We don't fear our new rivals. Which the main problem there is that he was viewing them as rivals rather than like potential allies. And I found zero evidence that there was any attempt to bring any of the black workers into the strike. And it was also interesting because the union kept saying that
Hi, Flynn. Your dog and my cat both came into the scene at the same time.
Hey, kitty.
All right, Emers, you can stop talking now, buddy. I know you're talking to Flynn. Okay. So
the union kept saying that the black workers weren't going to be able to do satisfactory work. It didn't immediately strike me that they were saying that based on racial stereotypes, but more so on the fact that they just weren't trained tailors yet.
Yeah. Because as you said, it takes time.
Yeah. Being a cutter was a skilled trade. And still is. But by all accounts, all of the products from the black workers were of equal or better quality. So that I will also say that those accounts were coming from the bosses who had a vested interest in disproving the union. So it's really hard to actually find any information on this.
Well, at least they're not racist. I mean, they're saying black workers are doing a great job.
Clearly. So between Stoller getting arrested, black workers being brought in, and basically the fact that everyone was starting to run out of money, the strikers started returning to work by early June, or early August, rather. They tried to force the bosses to fire the black workers, but the bosses were refusing to negotiate. They did say that they would rehire all of the strikers, but didn't give any other concessions. So it basically ended the same as the New York strike.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite end there. So that the 1890 strike...
My cat is literally attached to my skin right now.
Emers wants a hug.
I gave him thousands of hugs. Okay. Holy shit.
So...
I thought I locked the door. How did he get in here? He turned into a liquid and just slid through the keyhole.
You don't know. Cats don't obey the laws of physics. You don't know shit about cats. Okay, so that strike didn't work, but everyone got rehired. And Max Stoller was acquitted.
It's a win.
Yeah. Max Stoller was also acquitted of all of his riot charges.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Because I guess they figured out that, like, he
didn't want to kill everybody in the world.
And he probably provided a fair amount of evidence that going from, like, hey, we need to be really careful about striking, to I want you to murder every boss is a jump. So
do we know what happened to Gordon?
Yeah, so I think Gordon actually got acquitted as well. But so both Gordon, Stoller, I don't think Klonowski did, but a couple of other anarchists that were involved in this strike all went on to be doctors. But so March 1891, Stoller went back to organizing and spoke to another assembly of the Jewish Federation of Labor, where they announced that they planned to bring in 3,000 new men and women, which apparently constituted all of the cloakmakers and tailors in the city.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. It doesn't seem like they included any of the black workers.
Oh, God. Wow.
So I'm not sure. One, they clearly didn't learn their lessons from the strike.
Yeah.
But I'm also not sure if the bosses kept the black workers on after they'd won what they wanted, or if they just ended up firing them.
Oh man, that would have been interesting to know.
Yeah. That would require probably going through census or employment records.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something to research down the line. But yeah, so I wanted to end this on a slightly higher note, that they did at least finish the next year by organizing all 3,000 tailors and cloakmakers in the city.
Nice.
I couldn't find any evidence of them striking after this, but that would just be...
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
You know. And they went from 35, so I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. No, going from 35 to 3,000 in a year.
I mean, and to them, not having any, not having the bosses grant any concessions besides them getting the jobs back is a job well done to them. So, all right, fine.
Yeah.
If that's the bar that they set, who are we to argue with it?
Yeah. Like I said, 1890s, the bar is not being murdered. Yeah. So, success. Hey, this is Gabe, and thanks for listening to the Labor Jawn podcast. So, for now, we live in a system called capitalism. And under this system, you have to exchange currency for goods and or services. And to that end, Sam and I put a lot of time, effort, and a fair chunk of our own money into keeping this podcast available and generally free. And if you'd like to help support us doing that, you can give us some money at patreon.com/laborjawn. And if you choose to do so, we'll give you a fancy button every year, some cool merch, and an extra episode once a month, whenever possible, because life is hard, because capitalism. Anyway, we'd really appreciate your support if you've got a few bucks to spare. Also, if you happen to be a member of a union, and you want your fellow union members to learn about local labor history, we do commission work, like presentations, pamphlets, that kind of stuff. So if that sounds cool, you can shoot us an email at laborjawn@gmail.com, or contact us through laborjawn.com, or message us on social media, or whatever's most convenient for you. But if that sounds interesting, feel free to reach out. And anyway, thanks for listening. Solidarity. Have fun.